It's up.
All right.
Give it just a second.
Here's Johnny. No one signed up?
No, sir.
Okay, we are live. It's December 9th here at 6 o'clock at City Hall, and this is the General Committee meeting. So I'll call this meeting to order. We do roll call. Now we're going to do a roll call. Just go around the room, please. I will begin. I am Bob Garza. I am the Chairman of the General Committee and Ward 3 Representative.
Rachel Collins, Ward 5.
And Dixon, Ward 4, and I'm Vice Chair.
Jason Gallo, Administrative Services Director.
Zach Coleman, Senior Planner.
Casey Lamar, Communication Manager.
Keith Free, Planning Director.
Eddie Robertson, Ward 6.
Very good. Ward 4.
Mark Skidmore, Ward 1. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Now we're going to do the acceptance of the agenda, but on the agenda, I would like to move number 3 in place of number 4, which means we're going to go 1, 2, 4, 3, 5. And the reason for that is because the same subjects going on in finance and people who need to be there are there early, and we'll get them here later. Is there any objections to that?
That's fine.
All right. So we need acceptance of agenda, please.
So move.
Second.
Okay, that's approved. And now we'll go right to the minutes, and they are October 14th minutes.
And I have a change.
Already?
It says that I was here and then I was absent, but I was here.
Oh.
Second one. I think that's the last month pick. I think it's just the line that might.
So you can't be in 2 places at the same time?
Yeah.
We just make that
But
correct.
that's it.
They are mutually exclusive. Move to accept the minutes as amended.
Second.
All right, that minutes are now approved. There's no citizens' comments. No one signed up. So now we go to ordinances and resolutions. And Eddie, you're on this. I think Mark's in finance. So it's resolution 2025-43, a resolution to authorize waiver of payment into the tree bank for qualifying nonprofit organizations. Did you want to add anything to that?
Just that this fund has been established and been in place for several years. And in order to assist nonprofits, the sponsors thought that it would be a good idea to remove the requirement that nonprofits contribute to the tree bank fund when they're building a new building. And this is retroactive. So it will go back to the beginning of the year?
That's correct.
To the beginning of the year. And so I hope the committee will support this.
So that would get like Grace Place?
Yes.
Grace, okay.
That,
Great.
it's in is that the only location, Keith, that's identified?
That's the only one that we're aware of that could possibly be retroactive.
And there was a lot of trees there.
Yes.
Director Ingersoll told me that she checked and it only is Grace Place.
Okay.
I motion to move it to Bona with a positive recommendation.
Second.
I agree. So that goes to Bowman with a positive recommendation. Number 2 is the reading of resolution 2025-44, the resolution to authorize a fee waiver for temporary sign permits for signs placed on city property. And we're going to add a little line here, which will be at BOMA by qualifying nonprofits. Also, it's being added to private property. And it's not in this ordinance, but our city attorney brought it to and they will go to BOMA with public and private use. And disregarding setback. And I'll let the professional people figure that one out.
Yes, this came to me from a situation at Hendersonville High School with Homebound Mills. They were wanting to put out 3 signs, and it ended up being, a hefty amount for them. It took away from
Any amount.
Yeah, it took away from their pancake breakfast they were trying to do. So I look forward to us passing this.
So let me ask this question. Should we pass this tonight?
Yes.
We can pass it and then change it in BOMA.
We can amend it.
No, I know that, but if we do this and amend it at BOMA and it passes at BOMA, can we get them their money back?
I don't believe this. I don't believe this particular resolution
We'll do that.
has that retroactively.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all right. It's better to
Yeah.
fix it now.
It would require an amendment.
No, we don't.
It would.
Yeah. Okay. So a motion?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll make a
It's
motion.
yours.
I'll make a motion that we move it with a positive recommendation, understanding that it's probably gonna have an amendment at home.
I second that.
Okay, and I agree. So with that, with the positive recommendation of Bowman too. So we're gonna jump up to number 4, trying to save time for people to come in, but number 4, I'm gonna read it. It's the reading of ordinance 2025-26. It's an ordinance amending Hendersonville Municipal Code, Title 20, establishing credits for assessed impact fees. I'm not too sure how we vote on that at this point because it doesn't happen until number 3 or number 5 comes together. So
It is.
please, Keith.
Yeah, this is the way we're approaching this is since we have two separate ordinances in regards to development impact fees, and we don't know yet which one or what variant that it may be. The credits for the impact fees will be something we'll need to focus on. But I think as we looked at it and discussed it with the city attorney, we thought that instead of just putting it all in the ordinance, not knowing which ordinance it's going to be, is we'll just have it in a separate ordinance for the credits. And that's kind of why
But it doesn't exist until one of those two are passed.
that's correct. So
And one of the things I've learned is that I didn't realize from our workshops is that if you have impact fees, you are required to have a credit.
Okay.
Oh, I
That's
don't remember us discussing
I
that.
did not
Yeah.
know
That's
that
correct.
Thank you for
from the
bringing that up.
workshop fees, but I did learn that through the process of writing these ordinances.
Well, let me
They
say-
are required,
Okay.
but we do have leeway in what the credits look like. And it's an important component, so we wanted to be able to focus on getting that right and getting the impact fees right. They're codependent, but it is kind of a different subject.
Well, I happen to feel that one of either number 3 or number 5 is probably going to go with a positive recommendation to BOMA. So if either one passes, we still need number 4,
that's correct.
Right.
That's right.
right? So
That's true.
And is it clear behind
Has
it wouldn't exist if both fail.
Right. And I can surmise that, like, for credits, it's a little bit more complicated than this, but just the basics are that if someone does public improvements, probably most specifically, it could be something to do with park improvements, but probably typically would be improvements to the transportation system, a roadway or, infrastructure of that nature. Then what the credits would do is say, oh, okay, this part of what you had to do and did for your project really is beneficial, really mostly to your project. But this other improvement that you're doing, has a significant impact really outside of your project. A good example of that would be like a left-hand turn lane, even though that could benefit the overall, improve the transportation system. That's mostly for that development. But if they also have to do something where they have to improve the intersection and maybe add a light or add a lane at the intersection, that may be something that was triggered because of that development, but it also has an impact outside of the development on the bigger traffic. So that would be something we'd look at that might be a credit.
That could generate a credit.
Where the turn lane, even if it was $200,000 or $300,000, that's just something the development has to eat. We're not counting that as a credit. So that's kind of how that credit system works.
Okay. Seems somewhat simple.
Yeah.
I know it's complicated,
I
but
Yeah.
think what we anticipate to have discussion on at some point is the land valuation process. That's where we thought there might be amendments offered by some people who didn't like the way it had happened in the past. And I was not on board during the time when we accepted land. So I'm not sure what the issues are going to be, but and that was one of the reasons we wanted to pull it out and have it separate so that
Right.
we could have a full conversation
Okay.
each one as individual topics. But obviously, I like it, so I would like to send it I would move to send it with a positive recommendation.
I'll second that.
and I'll agree with that. So thank you so much for that. Yeah, so we have number 3 and number 4, and the the difference between the two, and I'll read them professionally, but is one's for residential only and one's for residential and commercial. And before I get there, I wanted to ask Mr. Free a question.
Sure.
I saw a list of cities that does impact fees,
Mhm.
but Goodlettsville, Nashville, and Gallatin do not, correct?
So, no.
I'm looking at the properties that touch our property.
Yeah. No, those were, yeah, if it's not on that list,
It was not.
that it wasn't, yeah, it wasn't one that was on there. That's correct.
So I will read number 3 and then we can go in discussion, knowing that Jesse and Jamie will come in to discuss this more. Number 3 is the reading of ordinance 2025-25, an ordinance amending the Hendersonville Municipal Code, Title 20, establishing impact fees for the city of Hendersonville. And this ordinance is only for residential.
Correct.
So open for discussion.
And it has a ramp up to 2030 that the other ordinance does not have. I'm sorry, we gotta talk about them.
You almost do. That's why we're,
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Um,
is that true that the
Yes.
others doesn't?
The
have
others
ramps?
is just boom.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons we wanted to do that is because it's a big change for us to have impact fees, so we wanted to ease into it over time. And the 5 years is because at the end of a 5-year period, you have to reevaluate legally. So we originally had looked at 10 years to correlate with our transportation plan. But it turns out after 5 years, you have to reevaluate.
legally.
Hmm.
So let me ask a couple questions here. Sounds like from my reading, we bill somewhere between 250 and 300,000, 300, not thousand, and 300 houses a year, which we've done in the past couple of years.
Mhm.
And I believe somewhere in an earlier conversation, you kind of gave us an estimate that we have about enough room for 2,800 houses. That sound right?
That may be correct. We're in the process right now of updating that information.
Okay.
And we're probably gonna have that actually, by next week. So by the time either one of these gets to BOMA, we'll have the actual very specific forecast
Okay.
on what those are. But those numbers generally are close,
Okay.
but they're not the specific.
No, I get that. But the reason I looked at that is if we continue to average 250 to 300 houses a year,
Mhm.
that could change, of course. I'm just talking about averages.
Right.
It's not many years left to keep building in Hendersonville.
No, we're down to our last 5 to 9% of development that doesn't already have a plan.
Right.
It's
I
already
know some already have
approved.
plans, right?
And we're gonna have a very specific forecast here after the first of the year as we get this information in. But generally speaking, we're looking at full build out, depending on the rate that the development occurs, somewhere between 9 and 13 years. And so
Okay.
roughly, and we'll have more specific information about this after the first year, but roughly, we're at about a little over 66,000 in population right now. And initially, a few years ago, say about 6 or 7 years ago, before we made changes to the zoning ordinance on some lot sizes, before we rezoned some stuff in Westlake and some other things, that the Planning Commission and BOMA made some adjustments to density. At that time, I was projecting, looking at those lots and all of that and what could be done. We were looking at projection of a full build out, once we're fully built out in the city, to being more like 79,000. And we'll have the specific information here probably when BOMA meets in January.
Right.
But I think that's looking more now with these changes that we've made. Instead of full build out being 79, 80,000, it's probably going to be somewhere like 72, 73,000.
And
So
did
we're-
you say 66 now?
Yeah, we're 66.5.
63.
I think 66.5.
Yeah, sounds like the last numbers I saw were like that too.
Yeah, and so we kind of keep track of it as as we issue permits. And this year, the residential construction was a little bit down from last year so far. It's under 200 right now, but
Okay.
typically it's over 200
Right.
on the residential. But we are we are nearing that
Right.
full build out. And so we'll see more redevelopment and in our commercial areas and even in residential areas. We'll see some of those.
All right, so since we're talking about both at the same time, I just want to put my opinion out there. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Martin, Ward 2, and Jackie Eston Ross, our city COO, has arrived to the meeting. Very fast. We are in the process, Jesse, of talking about number 3 and number 5 at the same time because they're so similar and there's one difference between the two. So I'm going to read number 5 now. We haven't left number 3 yet. I just want to read number 5. Reading ordinance 2025-23. It's an ordinance amending the Hendersonville Municipal Code, Title 20, establishing impact fees for the city of Hendersonville, which includes commercial, industrial, and I guess retail, which falls in that category. So I have some very strong opinions on that part, the commercial resident, not residential, but commercial. I believe, and I could be incorrect by far, that this could hinder some commercial retail growth in the city. And the reason for that, which is the reason I asked you earlier about the impact fees of Gallatin, Goodlettsville, and Nashville, is because if a key retailer moved in, and I'll use Costco as the example, and they can come here in Hendersonville with no impact fee, but if we have one, they can go to Gallatin, which is only 2 miles from us. It's not like, 40 miles across the city. And I'd hate to lose a key retailer or a key commercial company because of an impact fee. Because for me, that part of the business brings 3 things to the table that I think homeowners do not bring. And one, it brings sales tax. And we see what Costco sales tax are doing for us. Number 2, and correct me if I'm not positive I'm right on this one, they pay a higher property tax than residential. They do. Well, that's a win. But number 3 for me, which is a big one, is they also bring jobs.
Jobs, yeah.
And so I personally do not think that we should be throwing impact fees in part of our business that, it's easy to pick on Costco. They got a lot of money, but there's small businesses too that come to town and hire 3 and 4 or 5 people. An impact fee for them could mean them going to Madison, which is literally another just 3 or 4 miles up the road. It's not very far. So, for what it's worth, I just want to share this with you. I am not for that part of the business, and when it comes to Boma, should it, I believe it will. I won't be voting for any impact fees on commercial businesses. It's just I feel that I'm from a retail background, and if you got a good brand, whether it's in warehousing and or a good brand in retail, you're going to go where it's going to save you the most money, and least worry. Because there's no guarantee you're going to be successful. So I hate to pay an impact fee and a year later they close. So that's my stance. I just want to share that with everybody. So we discuss this. That's just something on the table. So anybody want to add to that right now? I know we all have opinions.
I have questions about it. Do you recall how many square feet Costco was?
200.
200,000.
It's up there.
Yeah.
So 200 times.
We did run the
4.
numbers, so there's a image in here of
Is that what it would be?
what Costco would be.
Which
Page 106.
Costco's on here. It's 156,000.
Okay. You got to look, because we have 2. We have ordinance 23 and
25.
25.
But
This one, the one without commercial, then it shows it on 106, and the other one is on 207, I think. Let me see. Close. Yeah, 205. So if you look at 205,
How much would it have been under the ordinance that charges for
748.
Let's go to the
700?
Yeah, that's it. They're both the same. I'm sorry. Both those charts are the same. So the green is the ordinance 25, and then the other one is the blue is the 23. So it would have been $748,094 for the proposal.
Right.
Now that orange thing you see on the top, that's the full blown whole study.
Right.
If you went with all the variants,
Of course.
that's what I'm doing.
And then Yes, so my question for you is, we had talked about what kind of additional information we might want to gather before we would look at commercial impact fees. Can you share that with everybody?
Yeah, we talked about looking at like Mr. Garza discussed the higher property tax rate because commercial pays 40% rather than 25%, plus the additional sales tax that commercial generates versus residential. In addition to that, we do have requirements for a lot of the commercial developments to build some infrastructure when they come in. If you notice, Costco added a turn lane, there was a traffic signal put out there. So there are financial benefits we get from commercial development that aren't as similar with residential development. And those were some of the numbers, mostly commercial rate on property tax and then sales tax.
I mean, it's $748,000. If that was really an impact fee that we had, Costco could be in Gallatin right now.
Well, how much did they spend on the traffic light and the lanes and the side?
Off-site improvements.
Yeah, significant. So when
More than that.
yeah, when the Lincoln and Rockland project, I think they said they were spending around $2 million to build that road. They were building as part of their project. I know when Costco came to Mount Juliet, I believe they got, was it $8 million that the city
Over
5 years.
Yeah, over 5
did?
years.
Over.
In Murfreesboro, they got free land and
Yeah, so sometimes there's different kind of mechanisms that cities can use, whether it's credits or, but typically those bigger developments, we do require them to go through a traffic scoping analysis now through our engineering department. So whether it's residential of 100 lots or more, or commercial, they have to do a traffic impact study. And then if the traffic impact study recommends exact infrastructure improvements, they have to do it. That's ideal when it's included in the project rather than collecting fees because it gets built right away with the project. So that is a nice thing about kind of our system right now. They're going to go through a traffic impact study, and if it requires it, they're going to build it with their project so it gets done alongside the project.
They're not rookies. They know that going in.
Yeah, I mean, if Costco comes in, they know they're going to have to do something. They had to do, they had to do a sidewalk down, I think Forest Retreat. They did
Yeah.
a sidewalk
Yep.
in Hillview.
With
They widened the
retaining.
road. Yeah,
because under 386 with that sidewalk.
Yeah, they sidewalk in, they stone that up too. So
there's a great roundabout now in their parking lot as well. For future development.
yeah,
About.
Jesse, what about smaller developments like the Chick-fil-A on Main Street and the barbecue place? Did they have to do some major site improvements like the red light, the traffic light?
Yeah, so the traffic light that's going to go at Maple and Main was kind of split between the two developments. So they contributed towards that traffic signal that's going there.
And the total cost of that was $500,000?
No, more than that. Yeah, I
think you're getting close to $1 million.
8. Yeah, 8 or 9, maybe.
We're not done yet.
Karen, what are your thoughts? Alderman Dixon.
we do that.
I have a process question. It's like, how do you throw out one and keep the other? I mean, what are we, how?
So,
This is the first time in 5 years this has happened.
so what the finance committee did was they voted to pass all three of these, the two impact fee ordinances and the credit ordinance, with the neutral recommendation passed along from the board. Ultimately, that's what the board is going to be faced with is competing ordinances and then the credits. I'll probably talk with the other sponsors and figure out a way to do it. Because we can enact both of them, but I think there's a willingness on the board to enact at least something. So we'll try to figure out a good way to do it. There's not a real precedent to do that.
I mean, if I'm a sponsor, so my opinion is pretty clear.
Right.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
I think that I agree with Alderman Garza. I don't want to deter any commercial business away from Hendersonville. So I would lean toward
So I think a conversation is probably about maybe we should do the gentlemanly thing, even though we're 2/3 female, and redo what finance did and send them with neutral.
So, did anybody else want to add anything to that, by the way?
Here's your chance. Here's your chance. Okay.
Bob, I would like to hear debate on both of the ordinances. And if we have one ordinance first and it's approved, then the second one is moot.
Correct.
So I hope that Lance and the mayor and Jesse can maybe hear both of them and then, I don't know, pick one, have a vote, with both of them on the table.
Yeah, I think if we debate one, and for example, the one that I'm a sponsor of is clearly not what the board is looking to do, then I would pull it.
I could also entertain a substitute amendment, which would be take the second one and substitute in the first one. That's an option as well.
Oh, that's so complicated.
And you're exactly right.
Yeah, I just like for both of them to be debated, let the sponsors of each one debate, put forward the arguments and let the staff answer, and then we just vote on either A or B.
We might get a little informal that night, but that's probably the best way to do it.
Mhm.
At the board. Yes.
Yes.
Can we just
Not committee.
Could we just poll the board from, just go down alphabetically and say which one you prefer before we would
Can only,
move forward
we
procedurally?
could only do that in a public meeting.
No, I meant that,
Oh, yeah, maybe so.
and then decide how to proceed
Maybe
with
so.
Robert's rules and all that, once we have a sense.
Exactly.
So, can I make a motion that we send number 3 to BOMA with a neutral recommendation?
I'll second that.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And that goes to BOMA neutral, and we go to ordinance 2025-23. Also to BOMA with a neutral recommendation, so we can hash it out with the big board. All those in favor say aye. Aye. And that will go to BOMA with a neutral recommendation, and that's gonna be a fun evening of discussion.
So there's one other possibility. Congress does a king of the hill procedure, which is conflicting amendments that only one can actually pass. And so the last one to pass is the one that is approved. So that's an option we might consider as well. Okay.
What's this about the lake? Oh,
We have other agenda items. It's the request of the city to demolish vacant houses. I don't have a clue on this.
Okay. We obviously have vacant houses in Hendersonville. Typically, they are kept up by the property owner. Often they are rental houses, and it just takes some time to move somebody out and get a lease signed and move somebody in. We had a resident complain about a house that has not had a renter in a long time. It's not an occupant in a long time. We have had some citations on the house, but currently it's completely in compliance. And she asked if a house is vacant for so long, if it could be torn down.
Oh,
so I have, one or two in Ward 5. Is that the one you're talking about?
That's one of the.
I would be totally fine with tearing it down. Nobody's lived in it for decades. Decades.
I feel like that's just too big government for me to reach in and tear down somebody's property.
We would,
That would be a no.
we would definitely have to compensate them for
Yeah,
it.
I would not do that. I would not vote for that.
yeah, I'm not a big fan of that either, but at the end of the day, as long as they're in compliance with all the citations and all they've been paid, I don't know how we do that.
If you do think that we should tear that house down, you've got to give us some parameters that Lance could run through to make sure that it's constitutional, because
It may not be,
it's a taking. We're taking somebody's property.
yeah, I'm not.
If it's a public safety risk because it is a place for people to gather and loiter.
You know which one I'm talking about.
And have parties and there's no heat or there's no, it's clear that it's just a structure that's been abandoned, but they do pay the property taxes on it.
Yeah,
But so it's not perhaps abandoned, but it hasn't had utilities for decades. The reason they haven't torn it down is because there's an expense associated with tearing it down.
yeah, the city's.
But it's not.
There's somebody I know of that bought an abandoned house, or actually a vacant house that was practically abandoned. Demolished that house and has now built a new one, and it's a very nice piece of property.
But is there a way to strengthen our codes so that they are in violation?
I can talk to Lenny.
Or that they're responsible for making sure that the land isn't being used inappropriately.
Increase your hours.
I mean, if somebody trespasses, it's not their fault. But
Just with the few questions you're asking, Rachel, I think it's a can of worms here.
You would likely
BOD.
need a court order to be able to do that in a court, declaring that it's a public nuisance because of safety and other factors. But we could just go in and tear it apart.
so we already do have a way to do it. It just hasn't. We could ask the court for a court order.
That just declares it a public nuisance. That doesn't mean we tear it down, it doesn't.
No, you could ask the court to have it, that it should be demoed.
Okay.
Is there a record of police going there, Rachel?
Well, not a nuisance in the sense of
But it-
crime activity, but a nuisance in the sense that it's a safety hazard.
And but this isn't the only one.
No.
So I can only speak to the.
This is the only one I get consistent phone calls and claims of terrible things happening there that very often don't prove to be accurate. But I said that I would bring this to John.
In Ward 3, we had the one with all the dogs. Maybe 10 or 12 dogs living in for a long time, not being fed, and feces everywhere, and it was a horrible situation. But the neighbors kind of knew it, but didn't know it. It's kind of one of those things, and of course, it's been cleaned up now, and it's been, sanitized, and it's been sold, and it's back in business. So you're walking up.
Oh, this
You know.
wouldn't be.
There's nothing in there at this one.
Right.
But it would have, whatever we do would have to apply to all vacant houses under the parameters that the board passes. And Lance, am I correct? That we'd have
This
to,
one-
if we found value, if there were value in the house, we'd have to compensate them.
Again, it would have to be torn.
How are you gonna find value in a house if it's debilitated to such a degree that it is?
This one isn't really debilitated.
It is?
It's not. I mean, there's
We're just tearing it down because it's vacant?
pretty close. I mean, it's not the nicest house by far.
Yeah.
It's stone, so it hasn't deteriorated, but it's not livable in any way, any modern way.
I can look into it more, but I'm not sure we can.
The taxes are up to date. There's a value on the house.
No, you don't want to.
It's on a good bit.
Okay, that does change the dynamic. Please.
I have a question, and I don't know if this is out of the realm, but if it's an expense for the homeowner, could they not and is Matt in here still? Could they not technically donate the structure to the fire department to have a fire exercise, a controlled burn
So-
for a training experience?
House next to them did go this route, and it was a similar situation, but it was a more modern structure, and they do have. That's not really. They have to remove all of the insulation, and they have to do all of these steps to make sure that there's nothing dangerous in the house before they do the controlled burn. So it costs them oftentimes more to do those steps than it does to just tear it down and have it. But they did that, but they did it with volunteer fire, the house next to it. But this particular house is stone, so I don't think it would burn.
Just didn't know with us having our own in-house academy now and the other surrounding
Yeah.
areas, if that would be a solution without.
I can say that the fire department would be thrilled with any potential opportunity for something like that.
That was just my suggestion.
Yeah.
It's an interesting conversation.
I said I'd bring it up to general committee.
And on other business, I just have one quick thing. I want to thank Mr. Lucky for both coming and writing that letter. And Mary, I need 10 seconds. And Hendersonville just got voted the most livable, best city in Tennessee. And thank you and the board for making that happen. And of course, our emergency situations and our teachers and that, 'cause that's a big deal. So when people say, why are people moving here? It's an obvious answer.
Well, my post on that was congratulations, Hendersonville, because I don't believe it's me. I don't believe it's y'all. I believe it's 65,000 people.
It is.
It's the people.
So anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
So